Welcome back everyone. As most of you know, the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus just came out, so we have to go ahead and talk about it and compare it against the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Now, first of all, the 12 Pro Max brand new is a more expensive phone than the S21 Plus, so it's $1099 versus the S21 Plus's $999, so keep that in mind, $100 difference, but I will tell you in a couple of months, there's probably going to be an even bigger difference because the S21 Plus is probably going to be in the used market for like $700, so keep that in mind. But I will find the cheapest ones of both of these from Amazon, and I'll link them down in the description below so you can get them from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, on the front, the 12 Pro Max actually does technically have a higher resolution panel than the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus, which is crazy because that normally doesn't happen against Samsung flagships and Apple flagships. So a higher resolution display, it's 6.7 inches, so the same size panel as the S21 Plus, and it's a Super Retina XDR OLED panel. Now, I will tell you the iPhone 12 Pro Max has a pretty good panel. I honestly think it's a downgrade from last year's panel from the 11 Pro Max, but I think overall it's a pretty good panel. You still have that notch, which is pretty outdated, but I think because the way the phone feels in the hand, it still feels extremely premium. It's not an ugly looking phone, and I will tell you, I think the panel is probably a pro more than a con for sure. I mean, it's a beautiful panel, but when you do look at some of the competition, I am kind of saddened by certain things that Apple didn't do, such as a higher refresh rate and like no Touch ID in the screen or anything like that. Of course, we might be getting it this year, but it seems like it's already kind of late, to be honest. Where the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus has a lower resolution panel, the 1080p panel on it, however, still the same size as 6.7 inches, and it's a dynamic AMOLED display. So at the end of the day, dynamic AMOLED, Super Retina XDR OLED, I don't know, they're like the same things. I don't really see a big difference. I normally look at the resolution and then I look at the screen refresh rate, and here you do have that 120 Hz refresh rate on the S21 Plus. So that in and of itself, I think, is a pretty big differentiating factor between these two phones. On the 12 Pro Max, even if it had a higher resolution panel and it looks so great and whatever, because the S21 Plus has that higher refresh rate, it just adds so much more character to that specific device. It's kind of comparing a phone with like a really good single sensor to kind of like on the back with the camera versus a phone that has the triple camera. Even though it might not be as good quality, you have more functionality when it comes down to that camera. And this is the same as that case with this front panel. I think that's like the best way I can kind of compare it. And you also don't have a notch, you have a hole punch display. So definitely looking at it, and you have the fingerprint sensor in that display as well. So looking on the front, that panel on the S21 Plus is a huge W, where the 12 Pro Max is a very average panel for sure. Now on the bottom, USB Type-C on the S21 Plus, 12 Pro Max have that lightning port, and on the back, you do have frosted glass backs on both, and both of them do feel pretty premium. Like, one doesn't really feel way crazier than the other one. They both kind of feel like the same thing. You have IP certification on both, but do keep in mind, the IP certification on the 12 Pro Max is a little bit better. But on top of that, you do have the reverse wireless charging feature on the Galaxy S21 Plus, which that is a huge W in my opinion. The 12 Pro Max has standard wireless charging, and I think that's great, but again, you're just kind of, even from the small little comparison that I did right here, you are just getting so many more features from the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus body and just from the outside than the 12 Pro Max, which is so crazy to me. Like, yeah, you're getting the flat size, and I guess the 12 Pro Max looks and feels better in the hand, but the S21 Plus surprisingly has so many more features that I think I'll probably side with the S21 Plus than the 12 Pro Max in this specific example, to be completely honest. And this is probably one of the bigger differences between these two phones. Now, camera-wise, I'll go ahead and hit on the cameras right now. They both have triple camera setups on the outsides, wide-angle lenses, telephoto lenses, ultra-wide lenses, the same exact thing for the most part. However, I will tell you, with the 12 Pro Max, you are getting a really good camera setup, and that additional LiDAR sensor does add quite a bit of capability at the end of the day. It may not be the craziest thing right now, but as more and more apps get used to it, and the more apps that kind of use that specific technology, I think that will definitely future-proof that specific device, and it's more of a feature than a con for sure. But I will tell you, the 12 Pro Max's capability, 4K 60 on the front and the back, and I think, as I have always said, one of the biggest advantages for this type of phone is the consistency. I know exactly what I'm getting into whenever I use the specific camera. And something else that's super underrated is that a lot of apps, and you notice this more the more I use my Samsung Galaxies for like my second channel videos, I notice how some apps are just not optimized for those cameras on Android sides. Instagram is so choppy on the front camera and the back camera. On Android still, Snapchat is still a little choppy a little bit here and there. On iOS, it's a totally different ballpark. And if you're using, I know most people use the stock camera app, but most of the time people are filming things on TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram. And to be honest, you're going to be getting a much more better experience on something like the iPhone 12 Pro Max than on the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus until these developers start actually pushing out better updates for those specific cameras. Now with the S21 Plus, the triple camera setup on the back is extremely beautiful, and the S21 Plus has a super awesome capable feature of having 8K videos being filmed on it, which is insane. I mean, that's something that no other cameras that I know of can do in terms of mobile devices, and that is a really, really cool feature. I really don't think it's a necessity right now, and both can do 4K 60 on the front, but I think, as I said before, maybe the quality of the photo and video when it's taken from these lenses, the S21 Plus probably wins, especially with that 8K capability. But I know what I'm getting with the 12 Pro Max. I know how consistent it is. And, when you're going to use apps like Instagram and stuff, you're going to be getting a better quality photo from the, iPhone 12 Pro Max than the Galaxy S21 Plus for sure. So in terms of cameras, that pretty much covers it up between these two. Now, this was probably one of the bigger differences as well, was the software. I mean, when you have the 12 Pro Max that has stock iOS versus something like, bloated version of Android for the most part on One UI, you are not really comparing apples to apples here. You are comparing apples to oranges, to be honest. Now, some people may prefer One UI. I am one of those people. I don't really like it. I love Android so much. I love stock Android. I love Oxygen OS. But when it comes down to the skinned type of Android, I never liked it. One UI 3 is a pretty big improvement. At first, I was like, it's probably not. It actually has been a pretty good improvement, if I'm being honest. And that 120 Hz does make things look smoother and all this stuff. But I love stock versions of software. And iOS 14 has been a rocky road for sure. On the iPhone 12s, it's been okay. But on other devices, it hasn't been. But that's the best thing about iOS, is that it's supported on so many devices, and the 12 Pro Max is going to outlast the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus for sure. So that is a huge thing to keep in mind. With the 12 Pro Max, it's just going to outlast the Galaxy S21 Plus, but the S21 Plus is still going to be supported for many, many years. And as of right now, it's not really that big of a deal, if I had to be honest. With the S21 Plus, you're going to be getting support on this thing for such a long time that it really doesn't even matter to me talking about it. But for sure, the 12 Pro Max is going to outlast the Galaxy S21 Plus. And I think the quality of updates as well are going to be better on the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And even in terms of the battery life, this is something that is so flip-floppy. The 12 Pro Max had a 3600 mAh battery. The Galaxy S21 Plus has a 4800 mAh battery. So you're getting a much bigger battery on the S21 Plus, and it actually is a much better battery life, even though you're getting, I guess, like a 120 Hz refresh rate panel and stuff. The S21 Plus is going to be giving you better battery life too. So those are two major things and two major components. If you're going to be picking up one of these brand new phones, you have to keep those things in mind. So in terms of that really pretty much covers it up. Now, performance-wise, and ending it off with the performance, the iPhone 12 Pro Max had that Apple A14 Bionic chip inside of it with 6GB of RAM, where the Galaxy S21 Plus had that Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset with 8GB of RAM. And what I can tell you in this specific case as well, at the end of the day, both phones are going to be extremely fast. And surprisingly, this is so crazy, you're really not going to see a big performance jump going from one phone to the other. In terms of performance, like the other areas of this phone are pretty big differences. The battery lives, the softwares, the body, the screen. In this, you're really not going to see that big of a difference. The 12 Pro Max is an extremely fast and smooth phone. Anything I've ever done with that device has been perfectly fine. I've had stutters, I've had problems with it for sure, but it mostly came down to the software. Whenever I had issues with the software, that's pretty much when I'd see these issues, arise. But for the most part, it's the fastest iPhone. It's one of the fastest phones still. It's extremely smooth. iOS is so smooth on this thing. And for sure, at the end of the day, you're going to be getting a very smooth version of iOS and a very smooth functioning phone from the 12 Pro Max. But the Galaxy S21 Plus is more or less the same. Anything I've done with that phone was extremely fast as well. I had very little issues with it. I didn't really have any problems with it for sure. And as I stated before, that's one of the main things I look at. When I get a phone like this, I want it to be able to perform extremely well. And for sure, at the end of the day, the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus is a very fast phone too, and both of these are kind of in the same caliber when it comes down to it. So in terms of performance, that pretty much covers it up. Now, to kind of sum up the video and to answer the question, should you go buy an iPhone 12 Pro Max or should you go and buy a Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus? Well, this is what I'll tell you, and I have to be completely honest with you guys. I really don't know whether you should pick up a 12 Pro Max or Galaxy S21 Plus, not because I don't know which one is better, but mostly because I don't know which one is better for you. For me specifically, I think the 12 Pro Max may be a better phone for me specifically, but it's very close. It's very rare that we see two brand new phones that are very close to one another. With these two devices, I don't think there's an obvious winner. I don't think there's a device that wins completely, like shreds the other one. There's been years before, like even with like last year with the 11 Pro and maybe something like a Galaxy S20. The S20 by far was the better phone. In this specific case, there are a lot of flip-flopping areas. I'll be completely honest. With the 12 Pro Max, you're getting a beautiful display, extremely good feeling phone in the hand, extremely good software lifecycle, good cameras for sure, great performance, but it isn't necessarily the best when it comes down to the stability and the software. The Galaxy S21 Plus obviously isn't that category either, but the 12 Pro Max definitely isn't perfect, and it's more expensive than the S21 Plus. The S21 Plus has a beautiful panel for sure with a new futuristic design, better than the 12 Pro Max, 120Hz refresh rate, reverse wireless charging, better cameras arguably on the S21 Plus than the 12 Pro Max, but it also, it doesn't have the longest lifestyle in terms of support of software. The 12 Pro Max beats it there. Some would argue that the 12 Pro Max has, better software in general. That's also debatable. So I don't necessarily think one is way better than the other one. Both are pretty similar when it comes down to the performance, but I will probably tell you, for me specifically, the 12 Pro Max may be the better phone to pick up. But I think for a lot of you too, the Samsung Galaxy S21 Plus is probably a great phone too, and I don't know, one isn't really the best one. If you're cool with Android, get the S21 Plus. If you're cool with iOS, get the 12 Pro Max. If you had to pick up one and you don't have a bias for one or the other, I would say the S21 Plus has the more features at the end of the day. The reverse wireless charging, the fingerprint sensor in the display, the 120Hz refresh rate, the 8K in the camera. Those are things that the iPhone 12 Pro Max doesn't have, and those are reasons why I would probably assume that S21 Plus is better. But again, the long software support in the 12 Pro Max, beautiful feeling in the hand. The 12 Pro Max feels better in the hand for sure. Long software support and all that good stuff goes for the 12 Pro Max for sure. So, like I said before, if you want to pick these things up, links will be down in the description, but that's really pretty much it. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section as well. Hit the like button, that means so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count. So it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly, everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.